Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new night point of view review of the Tesla Model Y. We have a beautiful spec with red color. We're gonna show you the front first, and we have the owner with us. This is a rent-a-car, so you can see nice spacious front, but it's supposed to be exactly the same as the Model 3, 217 liters. We have a long range. This is made in China model. We have standard 19-inch alloys. These are actually alloys with hubcaps, and I think the design looks amazing. And notice how the Model Y has this nice black protection underneath the arches and as a skirt, even as a diffuser. Gorgeous looking red color, the most expensive option, and tinted rear windows standard. We have a massive cargo space, 2,158 liters if I'm not mistaken when you knock down the seats. And if I may add, also very good illumination. There is a little light on the top here, so if I put my hand on it, you can see there's a massive difference. And this car is so big and practical that if you knock down the seats, you can probably sleep inside, even if you're a taller person such as myself. Also, there's a lot of extra storage space on the side. There's one big here and then another one over here, so I think this is like the most roomiest SUV when it comes to cargo space. So we're going to hop inside. Seatbelt on, safety first. In an electric car, or a Tesla in this case, you just press the brake, put it to drive, and you can just start driving. No need for any buttons. 15-inch screen, same as the Model 3 refresh. So we have the nice wooden trim in the interior, and the new dash with the wireless chargers, and this nice system, 2 cup holders, all standard. You probably saw it in my Model 3 review. Now we're gonna start driving. The owner is here with us, and he has a Tesla exclusive rent company. So Rent a Tesla. Here's in Zagreb. I'm gonna put a link in the video description. So he's one of the early owners of the Model 3 and now the Model Y. So if you want to test the new Model Y, you can book a test drive, or you can just rent the car, because official Tesla in Croatia only has one car. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of people who just want to test drive the car. So you can basically get the car for maybe half an hour drive, which really isn't enough time to experience the Model Y. So I would suggest renting the car, or just going for a test drive where you can spend a little bit more time with the car. Now, as a Model 3 owner and of the refresh version, we're just talking about how the early pre-refresh Model 3 feels a little bit different, let's call it that way. The owner thinks this is more quality build. Now, comparing to my Model 3, which is a refresh, I think this is like the same technology and quality level, although this, as mentioned, is made in China model. So I would say the paint finish on this one is perfect and up to the modern car industry standards, unlike the Freeman cars, which just basically aren't. Now, what are the differences between the Model Y and Model 3? I'm just gonna wait for this traffic to clear out. People get confused on this traffic. They don't know who has the right of pass sometimes. So the differences, one of the first differences, and that's probably the most practical one, the car is taller. It's basically an SUV, but more like a crossover. It's uplifted, your sitting position is higher, and you have a excellent overview. Unlike the Model 3, you're very low. You can see actually the hood on the Model Y. At least from my perspective, I can't see the hood, but I feel a lot better and safer as well when I'm higher, when I can see a lot better stuff and surrounding traffic, pedestrians, and so on. View on the rear is a little bit limited. It is very narrow. It is wide, but narrow. It isn't a big problem if you're used to the Model 3, because just like in the Model 3, it's very tall, so you really can't see the car right next to you. I mean, excuse me, right behind you, if it's not at least 2 cars away. Now, handling. So the Model Y comes with the 19-inch alloys. They are a little bit wider than the Model 3, and it's a larger car, so it makes sense. It's wider, more stable on the road, and the ride comfort is quite okay considering standard springs, standard dampeners. The Model Y doesn't have the air suspension. There were some software leaks that it might suggest in the future. Tesla is considering that, but for the now, it's standard suspension. So it's quite okay. On the bumpy roads, you're gonna feel some bumps, but it's okay. Manholes, if they're bigger, it's a little bit rough, so I would advise you to correct your speed. But stability, all-wheel drive, probably the best option. I wouldn't consider going to a standard range plus, although it's being discontinued. It's not going to be in sales. This is the most secure car on the road. In my personal experience, even when going really fast in the corner, this car just is super stable. Both the Model Y, the Model 3, and I would assume same with the larger S and X. Now, the handling, steering wheel is progressive. In this model, you have the chill we're driving now in, and standard, and the steering wheel you can adjust to 3 position. But the handling, despite being a tall car, it is very stable. There's no body leaning in the corners. It's just stable, unlike other SUVs, because of the low center of the gravity and the heavy battery pack. And because of its weight, it's more heavier, a little bit larger than the Model 3. It recuperates even better, and it's sometimes feels like it's a little bit more aggressive, but it's not. Basically, first experience was it's very more smoother when recuperating, but it starts recuperating sooner a little bit because of the mass. It's heavier, and it just continues recuperating longer because of the mass that needs to slow down, if that makes sense. So we're going towards the freeway or the highway. We're gonna punch it to 150, how much tolerance allows in Croatia. And this car in particular has the let me see here, we have the advanced autopilot. So we're going to demonstrate the automatic lane change, which I don't have in my car. It's very interesting. Although there's current software update had some stuff disabled, like the summon. For some reason, they're gonna fix it in the next one. So unfortunately, we can't test that. So I didn't demonstrate it for that reason. Now, despite the size and the weight, the acceleration compared to my Model 3, it feels in chill a little bit slower because it is a heavy car, but in standard, it just, this is absolutely a beast. It just easily makes you sick if you keep accelerating. So I personally prefer to drive in the chill. I think most people do in the city, because I think the standard is a little bit too oversensitive. So one little mistake can cost you a lot of money, and it's just, for electric car, just better. You have silence, no combustion engine, it's more relaxed, more chill, like the title or the driving mode says. And now overview, as mentioned, you're higher, excellent through the mirrors, although the mirrors are a little bit shorter in width, but they are a little bit higher so you can see good, and as mentioned on the rear, a little bit narrow. And the best feature in the Tesla is when you just stop, you don't have to press the brake, you don't even have to use the brakes, you just let the acceleration do its thing, or the electric motors, which are recuperating and pushing energy back. When you just want to continue, just slightly press and you keep driving. And then the other cool feature is the standard autopilot. You just engage it when you're in traffic like this. The car speeds up to the desired speed and keeps you in the lane. If the car in front stops, the car is going to fully stop. If the car continues on the front, Tesla will continue as well. What's also excellent, I'm not sure if this is because of the advanced autopilot. I think the autopilot is more gentle in the Model Y with the braking and with accelerating when it continues to drive. Again, not sure if it's the advanced autopilot. If it is, I think that's a little bit maybe unfair, but or there's something different with the Model Y. It just continues, although I think it's a softer version, it shouldn't be different, but it just feels smoother. I personally dislike to use the autopilot on the avenues like this where I could use it. I usually use it when I need to, when it's necessary, when I need to do something in a car. But when I'm on the highway, I use it probably all the time. And it just helps me a lot to release the stress, especially on the long journeys. So now it's just continuing smoothly. And today I had a situation with other car just try to cut me off, and it was very relaxed. It didn't freak out, it didn't start braking, it did beep but to warn me, but it just handled it like a pro. It just relaxed. It didn't, like my Model 3 just stomps on the brake. So I don't know, maybe there's a new feature, a new software update that's gonna bring more smooth autopilot, or the basic autopilot, hopefully. But those are my impressions. Coming to the highway, it's still early, it's 8 o'clock. I usually do this test a little bit later, but I'm gonna do a little test. Hopefully there's not a lot of traffic. Now the car marked the car in the front red because I think we're going a little bit too fast there. But again, excellent stability on the road, speeds up easily even on uphill. We're still in chill, and it just flies off. Now the interior or the cabin noise, I think there's less noise. We are on summer tires, Hankook brand. Now this is a taller car, so it has more wind resistance. Now we have double glazing side front windows, and it helps a little bit. And I think there's less wind noise coming from the roof in the Model Y because it's one piece, unlike the Model 3, which has two glass pieces. But it's fairly decent. Also depends if it's a lot windier outside, but today there is a little bit wind. Now we're going to engage the autopilot. by holding the turn signal and moving the steering to the side, you can see the little animation on the side, car changes lanes. Now it's also cool now I didn't wait for the car to do the automatic lane change, but if you want to navigate somewhere on the advanced autopilot, you have the navigate on autopilot, which allows you to steer off the highway. So if you punch here Zagreb, we're currently just on the highway that goes around it, and on the bottom it says navigate on autopilot. You can see that it's changed the screen projection, so it has a line that's following, same as on the FSD.
In 2 kilometers, take the A1 exit on the right towards Supercharge.
Now what's interesting, if we put it here on the towards the north, you're gonna see here the route is labeled as blue, so it's not gray like on the standard autopilot. So we're just gonna use it here to show you how it actually takes you off the freeway, and it's the second exit on the sign. So I can already see on the screen that it knows it's a second exit. It happened a few times for me, even on my test drives, that I've actually missed the exit. I got confused. Although I memorized it, but sometimes still holding the steering wheel. So we're gonna adjust the speed to 100 because it is 100 here. So I'm ready to take over, but let's just see how is it going to react. It's gonna tell me to oh, I didn't use the turn signal. So he's taking the turn signal. He was a little bit hesitant here. So I was holding the steering wheel, but the car was using the turn signal. It was turning to the side. Even now, it's doing it all by itself. But just for safety, I'm keeping my hands on the steering wheel. And look at this. Okay, this is a tricky situation. Nope. Okay, so it freaked out. This is a kind of weird junction, but to this part it was very well. I think if I used the turn signal, it would probably steer me to the right, and maybe the truck confused it a little bit. What do you think, Davor? What happened?
It was when we exited the highway, then it was the end of the automatic navigation.
Oh,
because
yeah.
It's all the way up until the exit of the highway. So that was the once when we finished this right turn, basically there was a message. He said to turn take over the wheel.
I didn't look at the message, to be honest, but it's very likely that that's the case, because it is just driving it to the highway, on the highway, and off the highway. In the FSD, it would continue driving fully autonomously, of course, but in this case, it exits the highway and you just stop, so lets you to take over the control.
But it did perfectly. You didn't touch anything. All the way, completely.
Without my interventions, I was here to take over, but
the speed and even the signal, right signal.
Yeah, I didn't use the turn signal stock, so I was here ready to give the signal. I just saw it turn the signal on
all by itself. Cool.
So you can imagine, like, we don't have the FSD on this car, but you can imagine the capabilities in Europe, where we at right now in Croatia. The whole Europe, the EU actually has limited the FSD capabilities. Even in the advanced autopilot, like the summon doesn't work more than a few meters away, and in the USA it works on a big parking lot. So there are some regulations and laws in Europe that just don't allow the full self-driving capabilities to work in its full capability. I believe in the future that will change, because Germany has announced that in 22 they will make a new law that's going to allow self-driving cars or with higher autonomy to operate on the roads. So we might see some improvement in that area, and of course with the advancement of the technology in general. And now we're coming to our favorite part of the road for all the subscribers. For those who want to know or see the speed up. So there's no one behind me. Now in this part you can see as well the performance of the matrix LED headlights. I'm saying matrix because they are matrix capable. They aren't programmed yet, so they don't have the matrix capability. They are adaptive when it comes to long beam for the incoming traffic. But we saw in Giga Berlin on the fair that there were demo lights of the Model Y, and they were projecting Tesla logo on the wall. So these hopefully will get the software update soon, and they will be able to adjust, dim the lights not to blind other drivers and so on, just like fully matrix LED headlights. So I can see that they've changed here that street lights are not fully operational. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull to the side here and just wait for the traffic to clear out and do a little 0 to 100. Safety first as always. We have to have ideal conditions, so no traffic behind us or in front of us to make it safe. It is 5 seconds if you're wondering. So I hope there's no cars coming in the other direction. So in a Tesla, you don't have to have any special launch control. We're just going to put it into standard and into sport on the steering wheel. And ready or not, punch it. Whoa. Oh. So that was supposed to be 5 seconds. Now these wheels are bigger. I feel a little bit vibration, so we are taller. That might be the case. Model 3 is a lot lower, so it's less prone to struggling. Usually cars, when they launch, there's always some traction. So this is the part where we're gonna test our LED headlights in pitch black. And there's a storage area, so there's some traffic occasionally. I'm gonna stop here. And so this is the GoPro 9. It has a smaller sensor. So this is the standard beam, this is the long beam. And because the Model Y is higher, I can see that the basic beam is a little bit further than the Model 3, again a long beam. And now I'm going to take my new iPhone 13, which has an excellent, even bigger sensor now. So I'm going to snap some photos so you can see how it looks more in person. So these are the standard lights, these are the front fogs, and the long beam. Okay, back on the road, and since there is no traffic behind us or in front of us, I'm going to do a launch in the chill mode. Ready, go. So at the end it just starts accelerating more, but the start was very chill because of the weight of the car. So but then if you want to, I don't know, demonstrate the acceleration to your kids and you don't want to have it rough, this is ideal for you, or for all of those who are who don't have the stomach for the standard acceleration. This is the automatic beam. So there's a little blue sign there. It's going to turn on, although it should turn off. Actually, I think we've disabled the automatic, but you can enable it in the infotainment there. Actually, it should be on, but usually turns it off when there's street lights. Oh, there you go. Now it turned it off. You can turn on the automatic in the screen, or you can just push it towards the dash to turn it on or off. And we're coming towards the end of the video or the test, and some of you always ask to do a navigation test as well, so we're gonna go to Avenue Mall. So this is Google Maps. Tesla's using. This time we're not navigating on because we're not on the highway. It only works on the freeway highway, but if we call it motorway. So I guess it's time to kind of sum up the video and my impressions of the Model Y. Would I consider buying the Model Y as a 3 owner? Definitely. I would want to do the upgrade if I had the finance for that, but it's more practical with the 5th door, more room, it's nice and tall, you have a better overview. Maybe it doesn't feel, at least the long range, so sporty, at least not in the chill mode, which is fine if you're driving an SUV in the city, but always if you want more faster you can go to the standard, but if you really want more you can always just buy the performance version of the Model Y. It's definitely more practical, easier to sit in a taller car than in the Model 3. So yes, I would do an upgrade, but if you're someone who's just considering getting into Tesla world and buying a Tesla for the first time, and you're looking at the Model Y and you like it more, then just go for it. I wouldn't advise you then to first go for the 3, and then if you're a 3 owner and you're thinking of changing a car and you really like the Model 3, then the Model Y is definitely ideal car for you, because it's basically exactly the same car but just a little bit taller. And if you're not super eager to get it as soon as possible, I would wait for the 2022. In that case you could get, at least if you're in Europe, the 4680 cells, so that should give it a little bit more range and more advantages with the new battery system. These are LG batteries, standard, Tesla's been using from the start, and probably the 2nd generation, but the new battery system should be a little bit better, especially for an SUV style of a car. You should wait for at least a year for that, or maybe 2, considering the chip shortages and so on.
200 meters, your destination will be on the right.
So for the regular audience, they already know we're ending this video in a garage, sort of driving from point A to point B. And just another note, still we're debating, I think the Autopilot is maybe smoother, maybe because of the more weight, so it accelerates smoother, deaccelerates. This guy doesn't have his lights on. And don't drive without your lights on, it's very dangerous, especially outside the city. So I ended in the garage so we can demonstrate a little bit the parking, rear reversing camera. This time we actually made it during the opening hours. Now you can hear the silence, but there's so much noise. That's why I usually come later, so there's no one in the garage.
Now your destination is on the right.
Thank you. And we'll attempt to find a parking space, but I think we're gonna go actually down because there's a bigger chance of finding one. And so this used to be Tesla spot, and they had destination chargers here, but they've moved locations, so they don't have a pop-up store anymore. They have an actual salon, but they've decided to remove the chargers. I think they could have left them, be a lot better as a destination. for the shopping mall, but I guess the shopping mall really didn't want to use them because they have another one across the parking lot. So backing camera is excellent. You can see the little lines on the side cameras as well, and you can see exactly in centimeters how much space is behind you. And just a little demo, there's no noise here in the garage. So when going forward, slight tire noise, but when we're going reverse, there's the pedestrian warning system. And from my experience, you can also see two reverse lights in the reflection, unlike the Model 3. As soon as you hit the park, it goes off, and the electronic parking brake is a little bit less quieter, and I prefer the closing beep sound on the trunk there. Before we wrap it up, I haven't tested the speakers, and I don't think that the reception will actually work here because we're in level 3. But let's see, just in a Spotify, something more non-domestic, but so not really listening to Bieber, but so I can't play it for too long not to get a copyright strike. But the speakers are excellent. You have 10 speakers on the front, 5 on the rear, same setup as in the Model 3, I believe. These are the S1 and N. Google it, you're gonna see it's an excellent company. Probably one of the best sounds I've ever heard in a Tesla. There are a few cars also that are on this level. I'm not saying it's the best, but one of the best. And one of the coolest features on the new Model Y. So for this speaker, for the reverse sound, you can also play music. You have a boombox. So if you go to the entertainment, toy box, you have the boombox, and you can play current media. So if we go back and play this song, which is actually still playing, you can barely hear it outside, but if I lower the window, you can actually hear the sound on the outside playing. So if I mute it, you can hear now it's muted. So again, can't play it not to get a copyright strike, but it's an excellent feature. If you're in a parking lot, you can play your own music. It's so loud you can have a concert outside. So what car has this? Only Tesla. So definitely that's it. And in the future, just a little critic, I believe Tesla will add sound when you're going forward. Sometimes when you're in an alley, people don't hear you if you don't have music on. Other EVs have sound when they're going forward, so we'll see if lawmakers will make some changes, but that's really a small critic. Everything else is excellent. And just before we end it, this trip we've used since, okay, so this is since last charge, 15 kilowatts, almost 16. If I'm not mistaken, 17 was the average, so this is better than the average. And this is also brand new car, 2,000 kilometers on the clock, but you can see that it is averaging in that average 17 kilowatts, which is actually really good. I think my car was around 15, and my average, I would say, was also very close to the official numbers. But considering the size of this SUV, this is an excellent power consumption. I've tested many electric cars that just have 20 or 30 kilowatts. Today the temperature is a little bit better. It's 17 degrees maybe now in the garage, but it was in the 15 towards 20. But even in lower temperatures in my Model 3, I experience very good consumption. It maybe increased by 2 kilowatts in the colder weather. I have a special video for that coming up, but this car is also equipped standard with a heat pump, same as the Model 3. So there we go, all the information. I think we've covered everything. I hope I didn't forget a detail. And we're gonna wrap it here. So thank you for watching. If you want, you can check out my full review of the car. Again, beautiful color. in the garage. That's why I kind of ended here, so you can see it in a different ambience. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Big thanks to Davor, the owner. If you want to rent this car and test it out, I'm gonna put a link in the bottom. Feel free to check it out. You can do a family test ride, or you can rent the car for a week and see how it feels, if this is a car for you. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna see you next one. Stay safe and bye.